Hi, I'm Trinity,
Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Brandon Kepner.
and this is The Nest. So, it's been a busy school year so far. I mean, fall semester, Rocket League 1, ESC, Overwatch Play 2nd. How has this previous semester and this semester been going for you guys?
It's been going good. Every year goes quicker and quicker, I feel like, and then you kind of get in the flow of what to expect. It was a little different this year because Overwatch being in fall and switching with Valorant, so that was a little change, especially seeing different groups of people at the LAN events. But no, it's been going good. I think the process, what we have down, is making everything kind of flow competitively. So.
I was going to ask this right away because the fact that your job exists is pretty interesting to me. How does one get a job as an assistant esports director at a college?
Well, so I graduated back in 2017 with a business degree. I wasn't really into esports back then. I basically got a pizza job after delivering pizzas. Had to make money, so I was living at home. But I was always playing video games, so it wasn't like I was not into them, but not super competitively. And then my brother started playing Rocket League really serious in 2017 or so. And then 2019, he became basically professional. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything still, so let me manage their socials, meaning for their team page and everything like that. That's kind of how I got involved. And then COVID happened, and it was kind of like esports kind of popped off, and I was watching Twitch a lot because I had nothing to do all day. And then I was watching my brother. And then 2020, I saw the posting for esports director, and I joke about this with Dan, and I applied. Did not get it. I was not qualified, so it made sense. But I remember at the time I was like thinking I was the best thing ever, and I was like, why is Ball State not choosing me? And then I saw they hired Dan Marino. I was like, what the heck? I was like, why are they hiring this guy has nothing to do with Ball State? And then I reached out to Dan in 2021 in the summer, and he didn't get back to me for like 3 weeks via email. And I said, hey, I'd like to just be involved. And he said, okay, well, come on in. And I came in the Esports Center. And he was like, okay, well, we don't have anything money to offer you, anything like that, but you can be the volunteer Rocket League coach. And I was like, okay, cool. And that's kind of how it started. And then to kind of keep going, in 2021 and 2022, I started coaching them, had a lot of enjoyment out of it. Wasn't making anything, it was free, but I still just liked being involved in something. That's kind of what my whole purpose was. And then I basically told him, I was like, hey, I don't think I can do this another year just because I need to start making something. And then he was like, okay, well, I might create this coordinator position. Would you be interested? And I was like, okay, of course. And so then I was the coordinator for a year. And then I had a complaint again. I said, hey, I'm about to buy a house. I need to, start making some more real money. And he was like, okay, well, I think we're going to create an assistant esports position, director position. So that was something you're interested in. I'm like, yeah, of course. So my point is kind of like every step I've kind of kept trying to get higher and higher and kind of earning the roles. And that's kind of what I always preach to students also. And then, yeah, long story short, I'm here 3 years now full time. And then I also teach CCIM classes now. So it's kind of weird how your life works.
Is there like a certain moment or like game or championship in your time of being here that makes you think back like, wow, I'm so glad I stayed, or like I'm proud of our team where it is today?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows I'm somewhat biased towards Rocket League. I mean, it's not a secret, right? But that's the game I started with. That's why. I love all of our teams. I love all the games. But Rocket League is just a game I've been familiar with since the start. So that's kind of why it's so special, because I remember watching CRL back in 2020. And I remember the league back then, the joke was it was like a champ league, which means essentially it was like low skill compared to professional, which it was. Because back then there was like one or two colleges recruiting. They were like your Northwoods and somewhat Akron. So that was kind of it. So I thought going into CRL back in 2021, my first team, I was like, this is going to be easy. We're going to make CRL. Go to qualifiers, lost like the third round. And I was like, okay. We had a decent team, but there were no recruits. So that was the difference. And then I remember talking to Dan, and I said, can we start recruiting? Can we do some type of scholarships? There really wasn't money back then, but we kind of found something to do it. And then, you kind of back to your original question was, My goals were always CRL, and then the kind of goals kept elevating, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like speaking of CRL, talking about how people used to call it a champ league and it wasn't professionals, and now there are literal former professionals playing in CRL. I mean, is that growth just absolutely insane to you? I mean, there's an RLCS world champion playing on a collegiate team. So like,
There's actually two.
yeah, there's more than one.
Yeah, there's actually Kernovi and Kennesaw State. He's season 1 world champion, and there's Garrett G, who's more former, and he was 2019. I can't remember what season. I think that was 9 or something, 8. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely crazy to me, but it's also kind of makes sense as the game is getting older. The pros were, they were a lot younger. So now you can be 13 now, actually, but it was 15 back in the day due to rules. But yeah, no, it's crazy. I always think about, like, if we had a roster now 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we would never lose a game. We'd be Northwood. But yeah, it definitely, I think Rocket League, the most interesting part from an esports collegiate aspect is that I think it's the most balanced game where the 8th ranked team can beat the 1st ranked team on any given day, compared to probably like League of Legends or Overwatch, where the top 3 rosters or so are kind of solidified with just all pros, when in Rocket League there's pros kind of littered on each roster. Even the 16th, 17th best team, they have semi-professionals, right? So
Yeah.
Do you see Rocket League esports maybe like dying down, or do you think the hype's going to keep building up? Because I know League has been like the biggest esports for like the past like 10 or 15 years. Do you think Rocket League is going to keep being a prominent esports today?
I mean, it all depends on the developer. I mean, does the developer care? I mean, Epic, the issue with Epic is what's their number one game? It's Fortnite. So they care about Fortnite and they care about that product, and they bought Rocket League kind of as a side avenue, which in the beginning I thought it was a great thing with free-to-play. Making it free-to-play, it did have a great spike, especially, but that was a mix of COVID, being free, and getting new people on. I think the esports fine right now, but I think there needs to be a lot of changes in the higher ups, meaning, are they communicating things effectively? I'll give you an example. We just found out about CRL a week and a half ago, and we've been in this semester for about a month and a half now. So our championships are now the first week in May, which is probably 80% of schools' graduations. It's also the most important weekend for CECC, which is considered our biggest LAN event. So the communication is kind of hurting this game in a big way, and it's also kind of affecting the pro scene because they're just not effectively communicating things. And then, you guys know trading was a big part of Rocket League.
Yeah.
They took that away. So I hate being the Debbie Downer, but it's just hard to see positives lately. And esports are also in a weird place because when we started back in 2020, when I did, it was the COVID boom, which COVID was terrible timing, but it was the best thing that could have happened for esports because people could still play online. So I don't know. We're going to see the next couple of years. I think collegiate esports are in a fine place, though. So
Yeah, that's good. I guess you talked about it a little bit with like everything that can go, like poor communication and stuff like that, and you kind of have to deal with that. Can that be challenging, having to manage? Like, I know you have Dan to help you, but like all these teams that you have to like manage and keep on with dates and everyone's in multiple different conferences. I mean, can that be a lot to try to stay on top of?
yeah, it gets easier over time though, because every year it's kind of routine when I know what to expect. I know August is going to be insanely painful for me because I know I'm preparing new students, existing students. I know what to kind of expect. I know April is going to be crazy with traveling, with hosting events. So it gets a little easier. And then also, the way I always look at my job is the way I tell people is I'm like a general manager for a professional team. And I have assistant coaches and coaches for each game. And I kind of try to let them do whatever they want. And as long as it's not going to complete the dumpster fire, then I kind of let them make decisions. Now, I recruit for all those games, then I take their feedback, but I kind of try to let the coaches do that first, and then I kind of try to help manage, and then I give them reminders essentially, then they put the task down to the next person for signing up for leagues or something like that. So that's kind of how I stay organized.
You mentioned getting new students. What goes all into recruiting when you try to find a student that's good for or fit for Ball State?
A lot. International can take 2 years sometimes. There's people that I've talked to. There's recruits that we have now. I've been talking to them for 2 years. So that's kind of bittersweet when they finally come to campus. because that process can be a whole lot. Like I said, international is it's not just the money aspect. A lot of times it can be a visa process, especially depends with the political climate, how different it is, right? Like, let's just be honest. With recruiting high school students, the way I find students, it could be Twitter or X. It could be through people on our current teams. It could be high school events. It could be Stay Plugged In, which we used to use, which was a big recruiting platform for high school students. That's died down just a little bit, so I don't use that as much. And honestly, a lot of it is just finding people, going through a 6-man server, for example, for Rocket League. I click on their profiles and they say 17 in their bio. Then I message them and I go, hey, are you looking for collegiate opportunities? It's hit or miss, and you might get like a 10% success rate on there, and that's successful. So.
Yeah, and I think that our recruiting has been pretty well, because you look at like our Rocket League Black roster, they pretty much can 3-0 any other ESC primary roster except for like Akron. So I guess you probably have a lot of pride when you look at that, not even our primary roster being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, with Rocket League, the achievements were, I kind of go back, but I always wanted to make CRL first. We made CRL, and I remember we were, my first year, we made CRL with Zath, Daffy, and Wova. So Wova's our original, and he's graduating this year. So, a little side story. Wova's my first ever recruit. So that is going to be weird when I see him graduate, because that's my first ever recruit. So that will be special. My first full year, I should say. So that would be cool. But yeah, we made CRL that first year, and we started out 0-9. So that was painful. It's weird. You make CRL and you're so happy, and then you're going 0-9, and it's just like every week it hurts, because that was when there were 16 teams. So you played 15 league matches, and I remember wanting the season to be done with before it started. And then the spring, kind of similar. We were like 3, or we went like 5-10. But then what sparked it was we made the last chance qualifier, and we were on the series to qualify for the World Championship, and we lost in Game 6. Which that's still the most painful series I've lost to this day, because that was the last World Championship, which they hosted with DreamHack in Texas, and they've never done one since. And I remember in the moment being like, yeah, it stinks, but I knew I had Oath and Guh coming in, so I was like, we're going to easily make it next year. Well, there's not been a World Championship since, so yeah.
So we asked Wova this when we interviewed him. What was going through your guys' head, or your head specifically, during the CECC 2024, I believe, when you guys won? Like, what was going on in your head? What kind of preparation and stuff did you guys do?
I just remember being nervous, because it was the first time we weren't like underdogs. We were the number 1 seed going into the actual tournament, so we were favored. Everything was that fall to spring semester, everything was just going so phenomenal, because the fall we had a little bit of turbulence. We actually didn't qualify for CRL the first time. We got upset by Kennesaw State. And then we qualified the next week pretty easily, because there was 2 qualifiers. But we got upset, and it was like, damn, like we were the 4th seed. We were easily supposed to qualify. And then we long story short, we basically that fall semester we lost a series to Illinois State, which was beyond disappointing, and we were depending on another team to beat Ole Miss, and Akron Gold. So Akron's second team upset Ole Miss, then gave us a chance to qualify. So we qualified as the 6th seed back in fall of 2023. And anyways, we made a crazy run. We finished 3rd in that tournament. In the national championship, we lost to Boise State, who lost to Northwood. The reason I bring that up is because it was kind of full circle going into spring. We were just so motivated now, because now we had the success and we knew how good we were. And we go in the spring, and there was no CRL league play. Like, just no announcement, nothing. And that's why this semester I was so like, this could happen again. But I was more prepared this semester, this year, 2026, because I dealt with it in 2024. So CECC, once it was March, that was considered the national championship for Rocket League and a lot of esports, because there was no World Championships going on, because, again, the previous year they did have a World Championship, but didn't have it this year because there's no CRL. So preparation, everything was just going great that semester in the spring of 24. I mean, we were winning every league. NACE we were doing great in. ECAC, I think we made the finals. I can't remember if we won or not. And then, we played the LCQ. We won that. Only one team got to qualify for CECC, because remember, we lost to Akron in the fall. So they got the bid through the MAC. So in the spring, it's one team. and we won and we qualified. And then the next week, Northwood goes, hey, we're not going because they had some prior things. So then we took their bid because we finished second in the regional qualifier for CECC. So we got the number 1 seed overall. So, yeah, now I'm pretty motivated. We go there to Texas, and practice and everything was great. But nerves were obviously a thing. And I remember we got there, and just everything was going well. We won our pool. We went undefeated. And then it was like, we get Maryville the first round, the round of 8. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because Boise State was the 2nd seed, and they had a way easier road to get to the finals. Just the way the teams, and that's how luck. There's a lot of luck that comes around with brackets and playoffs. Sometimes it's better to lose, and you can't do it intentionally, obviously, because you never know how the bracket's going to go. But sometimes it works out better for the team that loses to get an easier road. So, yeah, we played Maryville. We 4-0 them, and that was pretty bittersweet because Oath was teamed with Adam and Knight. My voice is cracking here. He's teamed with Adam and Knight, and they were on Maryville. So beating them was pretty special for him, and our team really wanted to step up to the plate there. And beating Maryville is just a powerhouse too. And then we play Akron in the Final Four, and it was like, how are we playing Akron in the Final Four? And then we perfect swept them. So I don't know, what that means for Rocket League fans, but that essentially means they didn't score a single goal the whole series versus us. And that was sweet because that's our rival, and I always wanted to beat Akron. I always looked up to them as a Rocket League program. And then, but now it's like we go to Championship Sunday. I remember we all woke up, and I was just so nervous the whole time. And I can only imagine how they felt. Now we always laugh about it. And then that series that day, the stage was just insane. It was basically full on the stage. But every game that kept going further and further, everybody stopped and was just watching. So the whole venue was now just watching us the whole time. And so by game 7, which, to start out, we lose game 1, not even close. Game 2, we lose. So now game 3 is basically a must win in a best of 7 because you go down 3-0, you're just not going to win 4 in a row. And then game 3, they score a goal. We score a 0-second goal to go to overtime. And then we win in overtime, so now it's 2-1. We win game 4, they win game 5, we win game 6. So now I'm like, if we're going down this trajectory, we're screwed in game 7 because we're switching games. And then, you guys have seen the highlights probably, but game 7 was, I can remember almost every moment what I was doing in that moment because it was so special. But I remember game 7 just standing up, and I could feel my stomach hurting because I was so nervous for them. And knowing that whole year was to get to that moment for game 7 overtime. And I remember we scored the first goal. Wova hit one of his best shots of his career, and I was like, oh my God, if Wova's hitting these, we're going to win. And then they scored 2 goals with a minute and a half left. And I'm like, this is crazy. And then I remember there was 30 seconds left. We hit the post 2 times. We couldn't score. And then 10 seconds left. Oath scores the goal. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And then, overtime comes and they missed it. And we scored with a minute in. And I just remember oh my God, we just won a national championship. I knew it was going to change the trajectory of our program forever, and it did. I mean, we still talk about it all the time because it's just such a crowning achievement and how special it is. And that's why I always try to tell our teams that it's possible to win a national championship here. It just takes a lot of work, and we did it. And it's funny, full circle now. We went ESC almost the same way this fall at Game 7 overtime, and I never won a MAC title in Rocket League. I lost to Akron 5 years in a row. So that was kind of one of my last achievements I really want in Rocket League. I mean, I've won conference titles, I've won national championships, I've won, and I'm not trying to be cocky here. I just mean achievements for our team. That was always, when I started back in 2021, that was always what I wanted to win. And it's kind of crazy how full circle it is. And I think the last thing would obviously be a CRL event, but yeah.
I think as production members, we were also hoping to beat Akron because I started fall 2023. I'm like, okay, Akron just keeps beating us, and just seeing them win, I felt it was the same. I was like, okay, we got this. We just beat Akron, and then it just felt surreal.
Yeah, my actual first ever stream was last year in the regular season when we swept Akron in the regular season. Of course, we lost them in the finals last year, but I also remember I wasn't actually a student when you guys won the national championship. I was a senior in high school, but I remember that was actually one of the things that got me really into this program because I went to high school with our mid laner on our league team. and he would texted our group chat. He was like, yeah, our Rocket League team just won a national championship. And I was like, well, that's really cool. I like Rocket League, and I'm a Rocket League caster. So you have talked a lot about the Rocket League team and like how, you started as the coach. And then there was a little bit, I don't know how long it was for, but I know my first year here, you technically weren't the coach. So, and then now you are the coach again. So how did it feel not being the coach for a year, technically?
Well, Kyle, too fast. I loved Kyle. Like I wanted him to be our coach. So I just knew that I didn't want to take on the responsibility of doing both. And so we had open applications, but once he applied, I knew he was, I just loved his personality. I loved his fit with the team. But yeah, it was definitely weird because I'm still in those calls all the time. So that was but I always try to not overstep and let coaches coach and do their thing. And I just kind of sit in the background. Now, is there times when I step in and get really motivated or fire them up? Of course, but every team you don't talk to certain teams the same way as you talk to other teams. I'm not going to scream at my League of Legends team because they don't need screamed at. Rocket League does need screamed at, right? So there's different teams. So yeah, it was weird, but it's fun to be back coaching this year. But it's also, I have 3 different roles now, so it's just busy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
As a coach, how would you handle losses? Like, but I know you like for this year and the years you did prior. Like, how would you approach it? What would you tell the players? And like, yeah, just overall.
Losing never is fun, but they get easier after time goes on. Losing, as crazy as that sounds. When I used to lose the first year, I used to like let it ruin my day, my week, my night, like depending on the severity of the event. Like when we lost that World Championship qualifier in 2023 spring, yeah, it was like a week. It felt like, so I can imagine how it was for professional players. Well, I do know how it was because my brother used to takes a lot out of you. But yeah, I guess with losses, they're never fun, but just realizing that there's probably another opportunity. I guess it just depends on the severity of the event and like, is it your last chance per se? But I don't know. Losses are never fun, but they can kind of ease your overtime as you do this.
I always thought that being a coach in an esports setting would be pretty interesting because it's like it's a video game, but now you're like analyzing it and like trying to teach people who are semi-professional players like how to do things better in a video game. So can that sometimes be difficult when you're working with like very talented players who are very good at the game and trying to improve things?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Rocket League is not super technical.
That's
the best part.
That's why I like
think,
casting it.
Yeah, I think I chose the easiest game for that. So that's not the hard part for me. But the hard part is, 99% of the time I feel like is the players are a lot higher ranked than the coaches. So I think being able to have that respect or demand that respect, I guess, and they understand that you have a high level thinking mind. I think that's the biggest thing. When your players, when your players lose respect for the coach, it's just kind of gone. It's hard to regain that trust if they don't believe you. And so it's just constantly, showing that. I don't know, like for me with Rocket League, I've never been the best X's and O person. I'm there to try to be the best motivator, and that's all of our teams. When I'm watching a Valorant match, I try to go in there and just fire them up. Overwatch, League, every game, same thing. So it depends. There's different coaching styles, and my best asset I feel like is being loud and obnoxious. You guys have probably seen me yelling before, or trying to motivate, but it all comes in a good form. I'm not trying to be mean, obviously.
You mentioned earlier that, like, with losing, some people take it really hard. I know that mental health is a big part of players. It's like losing, like, a big championship they work so hard on. What are your thoughts on, like, the importance of, like, getting, like, the sports consultants we have and having that be part of, like, a lot of the teams? Like, I think they should be a part of a lot of the teams that are out there today because I feel like if a player has that help or like guidance through like that kind of mental stigma of like losing, I feel like it could lead to a better mindset when they play after that.
I mean, when I first heard about it 3 or 4 years ago, I was really skeptical, like everybody. But the more I saw it, and obviously now I'm a full-on believer of our sports psych partnership with the students on campus, the grad students. I'll give you an example. Daniel Buderspar, who was from Spain, shout out. He's one of my good friends still. He graduated a year ago, but he was so imperative for our Rocket League team that year when we actually won CECC. He came down there with us to the event, and his work throughout that year helped our Rocket League team so much because it was just such a turbulent year, up and down, up and down. And it's funny because the better you are, the harder it gets with your mental, I feel like, because you just start playing harder and harder teams, and every week you're playing the hardest competition, and sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. When it goes your way, it's the best feeling ever, but when it doesn't, the world just feels like you're on you. And then with social media, all that pressure, the sports psych had been such a huge help for us, and I'm a huge believer for it, and like I'm so thankful for the partnership that we have with them. I wish sometimes our students would take more advantage of it, but I understand it's hard to see those resources when you're younger. So,
you talked about a little bit at the very beginning how you are also a teacher for CCIM classes right now. I do know some people that are in your classes, but how's that? I can imagine it's a pretty different environment than the Esports Center.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I graduated here in 2017, I was like, there's no way I will ever go back to school. And now I'm in my final semester of my master's here with public relations. So I'm doing, that's the thing is a lot of people don't realize is like, that's why I always complain to our students, or not complain, but I always, try to motivate them that I'm doing school too, so you can easily do both and make both of them work being successful. But yeah, I got a unique opportunity back in the fall from Dean Kristen McAuliffe. She was like, hey, do you want to help teach some of these courses? And I was like, I guess. I was like, I don't really know. And then I started teaching some of the CCIM 200 courses, which they're basically a 1 credit hour, pretty basic course, just kind of introductory to the school itself and the communication program. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. I actually really do enjoy teaching. But I also feel like a lot of that is teaching is kind of like coaching, really. So they kind of have some interchangeable skills. And I think also you have to have a personality that can connect with different people. And I feel like that's one of my better skill sets is trying to connect with everybody. That's one thing I always try to do within our program is whether you're on the third team, second team, first team, production, I always try to talk with you guys and see how you guys are doing, because I think everybody deserves to be treated pretty equal within our program.
So, as like you're a CCIM teacher, you're a student, and you're doing your assistant esports director, where do you see yourself in these next couple of years? Like, either staying here as a teacher, like, where do you want to go with your growth?
I mean, it's a good question. I'm happy with my trajectory I've done. Long term, I don't really know. Probably working in something in crisis management, to be honest, with public relations. I love being in the thick of crazy situations. I think that's what attracted me to esports was the action of something always going on. So, and I really do like crisis management. That's why I did PR as my master's. I don't know if I'll be in esports the rest of my life. It's pretty stressful, and also the hours are not really suitable for a normal person. You guys are both working in it. You get done at 10 p.m. and I come in later during the day. I usually get around 11:30, 11, but I leave at 7, right? So it's just the hours are a lot harder. But long term, I don't really know. I'm not going to shut any doors. I actually really like teaching, so that's something I've been looking into, is teaching a lot more courses. And yeah, with esports, I kind of just go with the flow. So.
On a less serious note, I was curious about this because I know you you play a lot of Rocket League, you coach Rocket League. Besides Rocket League, what's another game that you actually will like play, or I guess that maybe that's in our program that you like to watch or play? I'm just curious because so many of our players in our program have like a second game, like with Phobos on our Valorant team actually being our highest ranked Overwatch DPS in the program, and he's not on the team. So.
Well, my casual game is NCAA football. That's like my game where I go home and I don't have to think about.
Yeah.
I play a lot of Dynasty because it's like my. I have 2 monitors at home, my computer, my PlayStation 5, so I'll do homework and then take a break. That's not a competitive game. I mean, games that I watch, It's crazy when you work in esports, you actually don't watch games as much because
Yeah, I
you're
can
just
imagine.
kind of sick of seeing it all the time. I think that's, you always hear professional esports or like, you hear people, they're like, do you watch this? And none of them do because when you're around it so much. But I don't know. I enjoy watching Valorant. I enjoy watching CS majors, probably CS the second most. I mean, I'll watch the League World Championships because I like the theatrics of it, you
Yeah.
know. Do I understand what's going on all the time? No.
Yeah, I don't either. So
Overwatch, I mean, like I'll watch our teams. Overwatch esports kind of weird right now with where they're at. Like, do they want it to be serious? Do they not want it to be serious? But yeah, I watch a decent amount of other esports. It just depends on how big it is. I'll watch Call of Duty sometimes too. So
To keep going with the light-hearted, kind of goofy questions, what has been like your favorite roster that you've had in your time being here? Like whether it be Goth, Wova, Goth, Phoebes, like
well,
any
yeah,
roster.
this sounds great. Whoever listens to this, I'm just screwed, I guess, except the 3-4 people I choose.
Trinity,
It could be
here comes a
be
bad
any
guy.
game. It could be like whatever you think has been working the best mechanically.
I mean, yeah, the obvious ones, Oath and the Wova, just because they were rostered together for 3.5 years. That's just unheard of in today's day and age with esports, really, or 2.5 years, whatever it was, because they were 2 years or a year later. But yeah, I mean that roster. I mean, my favorite thing about that roster is because they were all friends off the field. Like I always tell our rosters here that it's not just coming into practice and playing the games. That's not going to make you successful together. Like you actually have to have chemistry on and off the field. Like it's cliche, but it's so true. That roster was, Oath was heavily recruited. He was a professional, but Guh was not recruited at all by anybody except us in Akron, and we stole him last second. And Wova was not recruited by anybody. And the reason I bring this up is because that roster just got better together all the time, and they all had a belief, and they were super undervalued, and they still are to this day, which is beyond baffling to me. But, I respect that roster so much because they just cared for each other. They always held each other accountable, and that's why they had the results they had. And that's why I always bring them up to the other teams. It's not just because I'm biased towards them at all. It's not like that. It's just because that team is successful because they were friends on and off the field, and that friendship helped them. Their chemistry, it just helped them so dramatically.
See, I couldn't agree more with being friends off the field because that's what I wanted to implement with the other production leads. Because when I came in as a freshman, everyone was like, they only saw each other during productions. But especially this past 2 semesters, I'm taking them to dinners together. We're doing rock climbing some weekend just to kind of make sure we're friends and we respect each other, which means better streams and just better communication overall.
Yeah, we're trying to do that with caster roster too, and just making it so because you can tell when 2 casters are together and they don't know each other that well. It's really awkward.
Yep.
The best example of 2 casters being friends on stream is definitely Lucas and Bryce.
Yeah.
Those guys are my favorite caster duo that we have here. Sorry, everyone.
Well, no, but that's it's true. And the hard part about casting is this is not me being mean, but to see your guys' growth from your freshman to senior year, right? For example, it always stinks because your freshman year, sophomore year, they're always kind of they're doing good, they're getting better and better. By their senior year, I'm like, damn, they're good. And then they graduate, and that happens so much with all of our casters. And I'm like, oh crap, Devin, Austin, Ethan Dolan back in the day. You might not know that name, but he's on the news in Fort Wayne. But that was a year before you. But I'm just giving you examples of casters that we've had, and I know I'm missing some, but you get the point.
Yeah.
You're next year, you're gonna be a senior next year.
Junior.
Okay, but as you keep progressing, you're gonna get your best year, and then it's well, he's gone.
Yeah.
And same with you, Trinity, the behind the scenes people.
Yeah.
You get better and better with your skill set, right? Yeah. And then you're graduating. It's like Carlos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one I was dreading a while because he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys obviously know too.
Yeah.
And so when they finally get to that point, you're like, ugh.
That's what I'm nervous about this semester is we finally found good people, assistant social media lead and assistant media lead, but both of them are graduating this semester. I'm like, I just got you guys back. What the hell?
Right.
Yeah, that's my senior year. Me and Austin's senior year is gonna be rough. We're gonna have to have an entirely new production lead team besides us and Daphne. It's gonna be.
But I'll say this:
rough
you
year.
never know where people come out of the woodwork. Because Trinity was way different now than you were 3 years ago, right? Like
Yeah.
you were really shy your first year, and you were kind of probably just trying to find something to kind of get your foot in the door, right?
Yeah.
And now look, you're a lead, right?
Yeah.
Same with you. Like
Yeah.
you're way more confident than when I first met you,
Yeah.
right? And I know people like think I'm some intimidating people until they talk to me, which I'm trying not to put that, but now like you guys are way more confident within the program. I feel like so.
That's what I have to encourage the leads to do is they have trouble talking to you and Dan and the players. I'm like, they're nice people. Just like be brave and go talk to them. They're not gonna kill you. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, talking to the players is rough, man. So I don't
That's
know,
what
man.
media day is for.
And we've been working on that with casters too. Luckily, most of our casters are on the freaking teams now.
Yeah.
Some of the players are just they're more media trained. Like they've done a lot more interviews compared to others. Like Rocket League's been on a million broadcasts, so they're used to it sometimes. But sometimes it's tough to get them because they're just annoyed being on broadcast all the time. So I get both sides, but yeah.
I perfectly get it too. I would 100% understand not wanting to get interviewed after a loss. I would just be like, just let me go home. Like, just let me go home.
That reminds me of there was one CRL we did, or it was an ace match where the black roster did nose goes, and we caught him on the webcams for the
I know,
interview. And
yeah.
it's like,
I think it was for ESC.
That was funny.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we're not that bad, guys.
That was
Yeah,
funny.
I guess one thing I want to say too is I didn't bring it up, but like back to that, I always talk about CECC, but I never get to talk about it that much anymore. But what was so special about that run is we beat Maryville, but then we played Akron in the semis, and then we played Boise, who we lost in the fall in the national championship. So it was like we were just avenging all of our losses. And remember, we lost in the fall, ESC to Akron. And so now I always joke though with the ESC because you brought up how we beat them in the regular season. I think we were your first
yeah,
time
my
in
very
Akron.
first stream we beat them.
And then we
in the
lost them
regular
in the finals, right? It's happened 2 years in a row. Well, this year we lost to them in the regular season, and we beat them in the championship. So
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I know something going on here. Maybe we got to lose,
season.
And I'm starting to think that in ESC because like we just lost in Valorant to Eastern Michigan, but I'm like, we've never lost a Valorant regular season match I think in 3 years.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the year we win a Valorant ESC championship.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that was.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, the superstitions.
Yeah.
Hopefully
So-
they come. Hopefully they come true. I'm very excited for CRL this year.
I am too.
Yeah, the format's definitely a lot more open. There's 16
Yeah.
teams and a bunch of opens, and yeah, I mean the first qualifier will be interesting because there's a couple schools that are in Hawaii, so they can't play. So Baylor being included, Baylor's gonna be a top 4 seed, so they're not gonna play because of the ping. So it's gonna be interesting to see where we get seeded. I always feel like we get pretty badly seeded, but
Yeah.
I'm expecting like 7 or 8 for our first team and our second team. They just beat Akron Gold, so I think they'll be 16 or 17 seed probably.
Yeah, I really like. Last semester, I got like actually really into CRL. Like my first time casting in my freshman year, I was just like, okay, we're just playing more colleges. I didn't really like get into it. But then last semester, I was watching the matches and I was like learning the school's players and stuff, and I was following the Twitter accounts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it.
Qualifiers are always really fun too. I mean, I wish like my favorite thing is when we qualify the first one, then I get to watch the second one because I don't have to be stressed the whole time. It's fun for the casual fans, but it's definitely stressful being in those calls because it's just like your whole semester's based on one day basically. But yeah, but then I think did you cast the spring one last year when we made the finals?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was really special. I mean, we were so close. I mean, if we don't have to reset them, we probably win that day. Just tough. But
Yeah.
that's my next goal is to win some type of CRL official event. We've been close. So.
Yes. Yeah. We've been very close a few times. Yeah, I was on every CRL stream except for one last semester.
I think we were at Miami when that happened. This was Miami land during this is CRL.
But it was last semester, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was the final 8. We lost to
Yeah.
Concord in the final 8 or whatever.
Yeah, when we were in the final 8, we were at Miami for the Overwatch Championship. Then last year, I know we made some sort of qualifier final when we lost to Baylor.
We lost to Baylor to
Yeah.
qualify. It was such a weird day because our second team beat Baylor. Then
Yeah.
lost
I
to them.
know. It was a crazy day.
Yeah, and that always happens too. We always get screwed where both of our teams are in the same bracket, and it just makes it miserable because that's the weird feeling is when your teams play each other. I never thought I'd have that feeling. But I'm not. I just sit in the call and I don't really cheer either way. I just kind of go, okay, this is cool. But that was a fun broadcast too when they played each other. And
that was.
That
Yeah.
was fun.
yeah, Yags always talks about how he missed that net. So the open net. So
That was a fun one to cast too.
it's kind of a weird feeling if my second team beat my first team. But the rosters are so good that it's possible.
There was a moment where we were talking like, what are we gonna say here if the black roster beats the red roster? It was kind of funny.
It happens though.
It doesn't. Yeah, it could have. It very
I
well
wish
could've
they would have
happened.
beat Baylor. They almost did. They should have.
know.
They lost in Game 5. That would have been fun.
Yeah, we almost had a Ball State finals.
Yeah.
That would have been peak.
Yeah.
Peak stream.
Absolute
peak
cinema.
We had that
masterclass.
happen once last year to qualify. I think it was I don't think you guys were casting that one because it was the first it was our day before we came back for school. It was like January 5th or whatever.
Yeah, I remember those.
And we played each other to qualify, which was kind of a weird feeling. Like, okay, I'm good either way here. We're gonna qualify, so that was cool.
I remember when that matchup happened, the previous one you just mentioned, not the one from January. Like, our Twitch mod messaged me during stream. He's like, am I allowed to post memes on Twitter for this? I'm like, absolutely. Like, this is the opportunity, like the Spider-Man meme and stuff like that. I was like, that's
Yeah, I don't know if
perfect.
you guys have seen the Shift RL Twitter account.
Yeah.
It's a big Rocket League account. So that account's actually ran by a University or Miami, Ohio student for the last couple
Really?
years.
That's
Well,
funny.
he was doing the socials. So, like, he would, every time there'd be, I was always, because when I first saw it, they'd always tweet stuff about Mac stuff. I'm like, how does this random Shift RL person know about Mac Rocket League? Well, yeah, they go to Miami, Ohio. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
All right. To end it off, this is a kind of like ongoing joke with the production leads. And it's like,
Oh, God.
who's your favorite production lead and your favorite caster?
Favorite.
I'm not answering this. This is a lose
gonna make him call
You're
You're gonna turn him into the bad
just
guy.
piss off everybody that doesn't get answered here. It's already hard enough doing that with the players. So no, I'm not gonna answer that. I'm good. Everybody,
So weird.
everybody's so great.
It's like just a way to try to turn him into the bad guy.
Family answer this like no.
To end off the podcast, can you make everyone hate you, please? Just like-
See, we asked this question yesterday for like a TikTok
did,
idea for
yeah.
Valorant. It's like, who's your favorite production member? And because Fraggleton is our assistant media lead now, they all said him. I was like,
I mean, hey,
Well, and also
that's funny.
for people that are gonna watch this and they can't see, I'm staring at a production lead and a caster. What am I gonna say in front of both
Yeah,
of
exactly. It's like, so who is it?
them? Yeah, it seems pretty screwed either way. But
Yeah, it's funny.
but yeah, this was The Nest. I've been Trinity.
I've been Wyatt.
I'm BK.
All right, have a good night.